Hello and welcome to Connected episode 348. It's made possible this week by our sponsors, Pingdom, Squarespace, Clean My Mac X, and Storyworth. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I am joined by Mr. Federico Vitici.
Hello. Hi. How are you, Stephen?
You're going down today, son.
I know. I'm ready.
Going down. Mike, how are you?
The road to consolidation begins again. This is the road to consolidation. I'm going to unify the Ricky championships to become one true champion. That's going to be me. One true champion.
Well, Mike, if you win, you'll be the consolidated winner for quite a while, probably, because it'll be the fall before we have another one of these things.
Well, I mean forever, because I'll then just never lose. As well.
That is quite the assumption.
But that's the other thing, though, is like when I win, I just never lose again. So I'll just be able to put them all together.
Well, before we get to the Rickies, we've got some other stuff to do. But we're going to start by talking about Ricky tracking websites.
Of which there are an abundance at this point.
This is like shelf apps. Now we have Ricky
there
tracking.
There are more actively maintained Ricky tracking websites than shelf apps.
We should get Ryan back on Mac Stories and do a roundup of these
Ricky apps. Especially now you've abandoned the shelf as well. And everyone stopped maintaining.
Friendship ended with the shelf. So
best friend is now a Ricky tracker.
Listener Lex has made Rickies.co, which is an amazing website. Also, thank you to Lex for the show art this week, because I'm using his trophy art he sent me. This has...
I feel like, can I just say, you brush past that. This is a truly amazing website. An absolutely unbelievable...
That's where I was going.
Screaming when I was reading it kind of website.
So it includes, as you would expect, the full history of our predictions. It has really nice host leaderboard tracking, complete with custom emoji of us that if you refresh the page, change. Amazing. It has all of our current titles, our achievements. I will say that percentage-wise, we're all very close with each other, closer than you would think, even though I've donated over $200 and Mike has donated nothing.
Because I'm good like that. I'm bad like that, I guess. My very favorite thing about this website, so there are loads of wonderful little features, and really, we recommend that you go and poke around with it. It will be in the show notes, but it's also at rickies.co, is the Bill of Rickies page, which, as well as having music embedded in it, has a interactive change log. It's you can drag our globe icon back through time and see how the Ricky rules, what they used to be called drafting rules, then became Ricky rules, then the Bill of Rickies, how it has adapted and amended over time. And then there are scorecards. There's active scorecards now for the events, and then there are previous scorecards for the previous events. And they even have things like which version of the rules were used for which Ricky's event. It's truly unbelievable, and it's made by Lex, which I think Stephen already said. And it's truly, this is a work of art, this thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely amazing. There's a link in the show notes to the GitHub repo this website lives in, and there's a details.md file, so you can go read about some of these little touches, and it's so incredible. Lex really knocked it out of the park with this. It's fantastic.
It's a labor of love that we love.
It is. It definitely is. There's also Rickies.net, the Wikipedia, where Jason has been doing some amazing things. Also some amazing artwork on this, which is like a weird fish in the middle of this like beautiful spiral artwork, which I really love.
Beautiful. Yes.
I believe that some of the work that Jason had done helped provide the data for Lex's Rickies.co. So this is a stacking situation we've got here.
Right.
Everyone's building on top of each other's incredible work.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason has provided some statistics and past results of just our WWDC events, which is really intriguing. I want to read a couple of excerpts from the page that Jason has put together that talks through the previous Rickies adventures around WWDC. The 2019 event was graded at a raucous live show where at one point Federico threatened to call the police when his arguments didn't seem to be getting traction. Ultimately, all three hosts had perfect scores, leading to the game's first and so far only three-way tie, which also led to the only coin flip that Mike has ever lost. Since then, he has an active streak of 5 coin flip wins.
Wow.
2020 also saw perfect scores for Mike and Steven, but Federico did not fare quite as well. He had hoped for new iMessage features and Xcode for iPad.
Yeah.
Mike did well with an iOS-focused slate of picks, while Steven staked most of his picks on the Mac. Jason also put a topics section into Wikipedia as well, which shows the success that we have each had over certain types of products and initiatives, which is also really interesting. So like, say our iPhone picks across all of them, iPad, Mac, all that kind of stuff, how many we've got right out of
Look at
everything
my
we picked
Mac
in our
picks.
percentages.
30%. I'm 100% on iOS.
You sure are, but you've also made 3 iOS picks across everything, which is very every WWDC. So
Well,
there's
look,
a ton.
look,
like,
it's not
we
about the
are-
number of picks. It's about the percentage correct.
That's not how it works.
That's not no. We are very blessed, I think, to have such an incredibly enthusiastic audience group, and we absolutely love to see these things. And please go and check out these websites and support the work of these very, very wonderful, passionate ones.
I've made 22 Stagecraft picks.
That's an obscene amount.
I really like them. And 2 iPod Touch ones.
More than iOS, it would seem. You care much more for how the event is presented rather than what happens with iOS.
That's about right. Mike, how is your multiple monitor experiment going? Remind people what you have done.
So I'm still using my wonderful yellow iMac. I was going to say Pro. It's not an iMac Pro. It's just an iMac. I've been using that. I'm still loving it very much for while I'm recording. I still have it for a few more weeks. And I'm using my Dell monitor that I was using for my Mac Mini now on the side in a portrait orientation, where I have all of the various apps and such that I use when I'm recording. So Audio Hijack and Zoom, Skype, and all that kind of stuff. And I really like it. I like that stuff's just all off to the side. I don't ever have to worry about touching it or messing anything up. It's just doing its thing. And then I have more screen real estate to play with on the iMac. I feel pretty sold with this, honestly.
Do you think you would do it even if a bigger iMac lands on your desk?
Yes, because even with the 27-inch iMac Pro, I still had stuff overlapping all the time, and I didn't really like that. And now it's just everything is just off. What I like most about it is that it's just away to the side. Like I can't, it doesn't get in my way like all the recording stuff. And then also like when I'm not recording, I just leave those apps open because I get them all laid out. And so now when I'm on this machine and I'm not actively recording, like all these apps are not all up in my business. So I like having this off to the side here. It feels like a pretty good solution for me, honestly.
See, the problem with using a Pro Display XDR is you can't afford a second one. And where would you put it?
Well, you don't have to get a Pro Display XDR. I haven't got 2 iMacs.
Yeah, but if you have 2 externals, they have to match.
Why?
That's all I'm saying.
They don't.
Because then I couldn't sit in front of them.
Right, but that's a you problem. It's not like a general problem.
I'm a very particular person, it turns out. I had to say goodbye to my iMac.
You had an orange one for a not very long time, huh?
Yeah, so I didn't get a review unit. I purchased it. And you know the phrase, if you love someone, you have to set them free? That's how it was with me and the orange iMac. I really liked it. There's absolutely no place for it in my household, in my studio. Like, there's no need for it. So I thought, before I really, really fall in love with it, I've got to let it go. And so I did my video. Y'all talked about that last week, and took some photos, reviewed it for more power users, the membership version of MPU. And then I mailed it back, and it's gone. I did keep one of the orange Apple stickers, so we'll see if Apple rejects my return because of that. But
yeah, I'm I'm planning to do that of my review unit. I'm just not going to send the stickers back. I just won't stick them to anything.
Yeah, I kept the bright one.
Why don't you put like a secret message in there?
Like a ransom note.
No, like a coded message.
If you ever want to see these stickers again.
No, like I don't know, Mike was right or something like that. Like a little secret thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that will draw attention definitely to the fact that I'd taken the stickers.
Probably.
Like,
Yes.
what stickers?
And then we said it on the show.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Nah, they don't listen. Don't worry about it.
A little bit of follow out. I published a new video on Monday customizing macOS system preferences that apparently no one knows was possible. So you can set them in alphabetical order or you can hide them.
I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah. It's like a minute 45. Just like a little tip video. I want to play with this format for a couple of reasons. One, I did it in ScreenFlow, which is a Mac app that I know a lot of people have used. I had never used it. And it's really cool. So you can do the capture of video and audio, and you can do some special audio routing and stuff. And then after you record it, you can say, oh, I actually want the mouse to be bigger, or I want little clicks to come out of it. When I click, little radius circles to come out of it.
You can do that afterwards?
Yes. So like the magnification and stuff in that video around the cursor, you do all that in post. You can say, I want the magnification to be this big. I don't want it to last this long.
That can be true.
It's really cool.
Sure?
I don't understand how that's technically even possible. It doesn't make any sense to me.
How does time even work? Like you did it before and then you can do it after? What?
Yeah, it's really cool. So that's all done. TJ is pointing out in the Discord this has come up on the MPU forums several times, including a post that he's linking that he did. So I bounced off of that and did this little video.
I can't believe you don't read your own forums, Steven.
That's where I saw it.
Wow.
I said this should be a video. So if you post good things in the MPU forum, I may steal them for YouTube videos. Is the lesson here.
Wow, that's a bigger wow. You're just thieving content.
Anyways, so I want to play with this format a little bit, and ScreenFlow is really cool. So I wanted just to give it a shout out.
Speaking of other shout outs, let's give a shout out to the Italian architectural team responsible for that beautiful Apple Store museum you've got going on over there, Federico. That was a fun little article you put together.
Shout out to the city of Rome for being beautiful, I would say. Yeah, that was fun, right? So we were able, Silvia and I, to attend, to visit the new Apple Store in Rome, Via del Corso, before its grand opening to the public.
This is like celebrities that want to go shopping and they close down a store for them. You know, like if I don't know, if you're like Justin Timberlake and you want to go buy some Gucci shoes, they'll like close the store, so like you're not bothered. And this is what Apple stores will do for Federico now. So Federico wants to go to a store, close down the store, kick everyone out, and Federico gets to go.
That is not really how it works, but I like to imagine.
Where was everybody in the pictures, huh?
Well, good point. Well, so a bunch of Italian press was there. I'm trying to phrase my way around this very carefully. I don't really know these people. I don't think these people like me. You know, when you get that weird vibe from someone, oh, he's the English blogger, the Italian Apple news scene is very competitive, and it gets even more weird if you don't try to even compete with them. I don't know. Sylvia and I, we mostly just minded our own business, So we just walked around the store, took pictures. We were given a few interesting details to focus on, like the staircase. Like there's some information that is really fascinating when you hear it. The type of marble, the type of stone that was used, how the skylight that they have is actually based on LEDs that simulate the behavior of the sun during the day. That was cool.
Have you ever heard of a window, Apple? Like, are we not just going to bother with that? Or
I think that's because like my interpretation of it is that the original was destroyed anyway. And so, I don't know, maybe they just thought it was easier and cooler, I don't know, to just do the...
Well, I read through this whole article, right? And also in like the things you're saying now. And the one thought that I'm struck with constantly is this is the kind of thing that shows how much money Apple has, because so much of this is unnecessary. Like, in the sense of like what you should do for a retail store. Like, it is amazing that they took the care and they restored this place and made it beautiful, but they are a company who sells computers and phones. Like, to do what they have done to this building is completely, unbelievably outside of anybody's typical realm of expectation for what any company would do moving into a space like this, right? It's just like they have so much money that they can just painstakingly restore a mural.
Yeah, and that is true. But also, when you see it in person, it's incredible. And like,
yeah.
And I actually talked about this with John earlier today. I got a bunch of tweets from people saying, oh, so don't you think it's sad that private corporations have to come in with their big money and, you know, take advantage of these historical places and just show off how much money they have? This stuff should be in the public domain. It should be governments that restore these buildings. Sure, I agree. Like, in an ideal world, Palazzo Marignoli, which would be the building where this new Apple store is located, would be an open museum for all citizens of Rome and all tourists to see. That's not how it works in Italy. We don't have the money. The city of Rome doesn't have the money. We don't have the funding to support that kind of a restoring of all the buildings that we have, especially in the center of Rome. And so, unfortunately, as much as I would like all these buildings to be open to the public, all these buildings in the center of Rome, they are used by companies, by businesses, by banks, by boutiques like Armani or Gucci, whatever. They're all used by companies that, to different extents, they care for the building and they restore the building. And I can tell you that this building in particular was in really, really bad shape. It was disgusting. Like, this building was grimy and dirty, and all the works of art were hidden or damaged before. It used to be this, as I wrote in the story, this was actually the fast food, sort of a pizza chain, where I used to go as a kid when we visited Rome with my parents. It was just loud and dirty and gross. It was one of those cheap fast food places where thousands of people go every day. And you couldn't even tell that this was actually like a pretty cool building from the 19th century with a fascinating story behind it. And so, yeah, ideally, this should all be taken care of by the government. For a bunch of different reasons, that is not possible. And so, at the very least, you know, Apple did a pretty good job. And it's really stunning to see in person. So, sure, you're visiting a store by a company that wants you to spend money inside of it. That is true. It's also equally true that they have done an excellent job at restoring the place, at restoring the ceiling paintings and the hand-painted ceiling, which is really incredible to see above the Genius Bar. So I understand the argument that, you know, oh, it's still an Apple store, but I can tell you it's so much better than what it used to be. So I guess why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the only way forward for the property, then...
Exactly. I mean, it was closed anyway. It was closed in 2014. I think Apple took over, my understanding is, in 2015. So they spent like 5 or 6 years working on it. It was closed the entire time. And then at one point it became obvious that it was, you know, initially it was a rumor that Apple had purchased the location or leased the location. I don't have details of that, how it works with the city of Rome. But yeah, at least now it's open again. It's beautiful. It really stands out in Via del Corso because, like, all the other buildings are like, you know, they're very grimy and gray and dirty, and this one is really polished now. It's like really clean facade and all the white columns. It really stands out. It's beautiful. If you're ever in Rome in the future, I mean, look, there's plenty of other things to see in Rome, right? It's not like
yeah. But look, like, if you're listening to this show, and you're in Rome, go to the Apple Store. It's like I went to the Louvre Apple Store in Paris because I wanted to see it. I was around there. I'm just going to go see it. I didn't need to buy anything.
When we were in New York, Underscore and I went to the Glass Cube store. It was closed for renovation, though.
Yeah, that store wasn't very impressive beforehand. Like I'd been there a couple of years before just to go see it, and it had the real old look to it, which is why it's been renovated.
But yeah, traveling, I think, should involve going to an Apple store. The one in Chicago on the river we've been in several times. Like, it's fantastic.
And we have amazing ones here in London.
Let's take a break, and then we're going to talk about AirPods, and then we'll read the bill of Rickies. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Pingdom from SolarWinds. If you have a website, what purpose does it serve? It could be driving people to your products, collecting sales leads for your company, or providing customer service with contact forms. When these critical transactions fail, you lose out on business and your users have a bad experience. But there's a solution, transaction monitoring from Pingdom. Starting at just $10 a month, transaction monitoring runs checks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and will alert you when cart checkout forms or login pages fail, before they affect your customers and business. Pingdom will notify you the moment there's a failure via SMS, email, or your favorite apps like Slack, OpsGenie, or PagerDuty. We had a little outage on Relay FM the other night, and I got a little message in Slack and a push notification saying, hey, you're down. It's good to be in the know about these things because you don't want your users to discover a problem with your website. You should be the first to know. It's super easy to get started. Just go to pingdom.com/relayfm right now for a free 30-day trial with no credit card required. And when you're ready to buy, use the code CONNECTED at checkout to get a huge 30% off your first invoice. Our thanks to Pingdom from SolarWinds for their support of the show and Relay FM.
Mark Gurman published an article about AirPods. It wasn't what I was expecting at this time of year. I will say, look, maybe I'm about to jinx this. There hasn't been a lot of, hey, here's what's coming in iOS articles this year, right? Seems like things have been locked down pretty tight. And I guess it's worth comparing to last year. If I'm remembering correctly, iOS 14, there was a bunch of articles from, I think, 9to5Mac and some others because it seemed like a version of iOS had gotten out, right?
Yeah.
And people were able to look through the code. And I guess if that wouldn't have happened, there wouldn't have been so many stories. So, we're a week away from WWDC, and we don't really know anything, like really anything. The only thing was that report that Mark Gurman published a few weeks ago saying notifications and widgets on the iPad home screen maybe. But this was an article about AirPods. So Mark was kind of going over the 3 AirPods lines and talking about updates that are in the works for them. So there will be some new original AirPods this year with a design similar to the AirPods Pro, so a shorter stem and a new case. I'm expecting they will still be fully all plastic, I guess. I don't think they're going to go to the AirPods Pro style in-ear things, and I hope that for Steven's case especially.
Me too. I'll be very sad.
That's your issue with the Pro, right? Is the going in the ear part?
Yeah, I mean, I wear like in-ear monitors to record, but something about the silicone, like I don't know, something about the AirPod Pro tips I really didn't like.
Federico, are you still using the foam ones?
Oh yeah, big time. I ordered my new set just last week and I swapped it because I replace it basically every couple of months. I am very precise at cleaning my AirPods with Blue Tack, but the foam tips, I just like to replace them.
You use the Comply ones still?
Yes, I do. Comply medium size. That's my preferred flavor of them.
Sizing part wasn't necessary, but I appreciate that you decided to share it anyway.
Well, you'd be surprised by how many people would ask that question, like very particular question.
It's weird because, like, what are you going to do with that? Like, I don't know the size of your ear to my ear, do I? Anyway, I don't know.
I don't know. You strike me as a big ear person, Mike.
Well, I either am or I aren't, right? Like, I don't think there's something about my personality.
Sure, but I like to think about it. Hey, do you think Mike has big or small ears? I don't know.
Probably
maybe.
big ears. Yeah,
big ears. He's a podcaster, big ear person.
Like evolved to get bigger ears? Is that what you're assuming?
Right, exactly. Like giraffes evolved to eat leaves from tall trees. You grew bigger ears for better editing when podcasting.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's how evolution works. I mean, Darwin said it, not me.
New AirPods Pro coming next year. Apple is testing a design with no stems at all. Now, there is something to be said about this. There's been a rumor of an upcoming Beats headphone, which is just pure in-ear things. They've been Mac Rumors found them, and then LeBron James was pictured wearing them, which is, I kind of love the Beats thing. Like, stuff like this happens with Beats, which I just kind of really enjoy. It's just like, whatever. We just give it
They
to
don't
LeBron
care,
James.
right? It's like the opposite of an Apple product, but it's
Yeah.
owned by Apple. It's like, yeah, let's just give them to a bunch of people who are going to take Instagram photos with them.
And I imagine
Whatever.
that they're not as worried about it as well, Apple, right?
Right.
Like, because the Beats stuff, I mean, it gets more attention in this way now because it's owned by
Yes.
Apple, but like ultimately it doesn't matter. If anything, with Beats, this only serves the brand the way that was probably wanted. That's why they gave them to LeBron James anyway.
Like, don't wear these in public, but
If you're gonna, make sure there's photographers around. You never see like, oh, this celebrity had the new iPhone before everyone else.
No, but
Like, I
do you
know that-
remember when a bunch of people had the gold Apple Watch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but that was also that, right? Which is like, wear this. Like, go out and wear this.
Who was it?
you know?
Someone had it, and like it was very clearly not set up.
Probably Karl Lagerfeld.
Probably, yes. I think so.
Karl Lagerfeld was the guy who used to carry the briefcase of iPods. Everyone remembers that story.
Really?
Yeah, that was
Wow.
like a thing that he did. Like, I had like this briefcase full of iPods.
It's basically what Steven does also. So,
In case he
in a way,
breaks one.
Steven- Yeah.
What do you think about the idea of AirPods just go in the ears with no stems on them?
I kind of dig it myself. I am concerned. So I can tell you, I have Sony earbuds that have that kind of design, and I really like them. However, there's a big issue there. The gestures to control those Sony earbuds are awful, right? Pressing on the stem on the AirPods Pro is a much better way to control playback or Siri than having to tap precisely on the Sony earbuds. Now, I don't know if the problem is that Sony's motion detection feature, whatever, sucks, and that Apple's is going to be so much better. But conceptually speaking, pressing the stem has really grown on me as a way to control audio. But physically speaking, I really prefer the design of something like the Sony earbuds that I have, or these Beats headphones, earbuds that I'm seeing now, where you don't have that little thing poking out of your ear, that stem going down, toward your neck. Like,
yeah, I don't want to go back to the tapping my ears again.
me neither. So that's the problem, right? Like, do you want to have the new design or not? Or would you rather have, keep the current design and pressing the stem? Maybe there's another way that they can make this possible. Maybe you're just going to have to squeeze the earbud, like without having to tap on your head, basically.
Something like that. Because that's a quick way to them falling out. I don't know. I've been having a problem recently, and I don't know why this is a new thing in my life, where my left AirPod falls out more than it ever has before. Maybe my ears, because they're getting bigger,
They're growing.
because my ears continue to get bigger, it's changing. I guess this is the proof. Apple are apparently also not currently working on a second generation of AirPods Max, but they may revise the color offerings.
Not a great sign, but we'll see, I guess. Like, I really want to see what happens in iOS 15 in terms of this lossless story going on with Apple Music. Maybe they don't have to work on a second generation version of the AirPods
Maybe
Max.
it does everything it needs. But, like, look, it is worth noting that
Or maybe it wasn't successful at all, and they're
Well,
not going to make those any longer.
The
Who
HomePods
knows?
for the head.
But
Yeah.
like AirPods products, they are around for multiple years. So doesn't
true,
mean they won't
true.
start working on it next year. Like all of the products that we're talking about, like the original AirPods, they've been out for ages with no update. So
I mean, yeah, an AirPods Pro will be updated in 2022, and they will release in 2020. So it's not
they released in 2020.
unusual. The Pro? Yeah.
Yeah. Were they previewed in 2019?
No, they were rumored in 2019, I think.
Wow, that's wild. Huh, fair enough.
Yeah. So it's not unusual for AirPods products to stick around 2 years. Also, that seems to be pretty much the kind of, at least for the smaller ones, the kind of battery life that you can expect. Like after 2 years.
Do you remember like the second version of AirPods seemed to get delayed a bit, and everyone's batteries were just like really lagging.
Because we are the kind of users that they bought it on day one and we use them every day, and so it's pretty much a given that they're all gonna die around the same time.
Real-time follow-up. Apple announced AirPods Pro on October 28th, 2019 and released them on October 30th, 2019.
Okay, so it's late 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, time is all, blending together. Who knows? Okay, so they will be updated in 2022 and they were released in 2019. So makes sense if AirPods Max
2 to 3
work on
years.
them hasn't started yet.
Yeah, they just came out.
Well, that's the optimistic view, and I choose to go with that. Yeah.
The original AirPods were first released on September 7th, 2016, which just seems an obscene amount of time ago. Second generation released in March of 2019.
Okay. So that's
This
good.
is all tracking. I'm pleased we could put this all in perspective for us. Good work, boys.
It's time for the Bill of Rickies.
Woo.
Everybody, please stand.
I'm standing.
Good.
I am now
I'm standing.
Okay.
Me too.
I'm going to stand too and read them.
I'm
right.
standing in my bedroom.
No, don't do that unless you can move your microphone.
Yeah, I'm good. I can't move it high enough. I'm going to sit back down.
Do I have to put my hand on my heart, like when
Yes.
they're singing the national anthem?
Yep.
Okay.
The Bill of Rickies. There are 2 types of Rickies. Annual Rickies.
You didn't say when it was last amended. I feel like that's probably important.
The Bill of Rickies, last amended on January 13th, 2021. Past results can be seen at rickies.co and rickies.net. There are 2 types of Rickies, annual Rickies and keynote Rickies. The winner of the annual Rickies is named annual chairman and retains the rights to the corresponding Twitter account for the full year. This position is awarded every January. The keynote Rickies winner is named the keynote chairman and
I'm
retains...
sorry, I had to sit. I was getting tired. I'm sorry. I'm sitting.
Okay.
It's more comfy.
And retains the rights to
Dan,
the...
I've sat down now too. I was particularly waited until...
I knew it was gonna do that. Well done.
The keynote Rickies winner is named the keynote chairman and retains the rights to the corresponding Twitter account until the next keynote is held. Annual winners roll over to preserve the order of picks. For example, the 2019 annual winner gets to go first for the next annual picks. Order of the keynote Rickies is based on the previous Apple event. The loser goes last. To earn any points, everything written down in the prediction document must come true. No half points may be awarded in any round, and picks cannot be reused. 1 point is awarded for any pick deemed correct in the first 2 rounds. 2 points will be awarded for the correct pick in the risky pick round. If your risky pick is wrong, you lose a point. The 2 other hosts must agree that your pick is, quote, risky. For Keynote Rickies, the scoring window starts when the event begins and closes when the picks are scored. The winner of the regular and risky picks must be granted access to the annual or event chairman Twitter account and will retain access until another winner is named. The Flexies. Loser of the Flexies must compensate the winner of the Flexies by donating to the charity of the winner's choice. The amount of the donation is $25 per wrong Flexi made by the loser. In the case of a tie, the ratio of correct to incorrect Flexies will be taken into account. Each host must make a minimum of 5 Flexi picks. Flexies may be reused as future Flexies or regular picks. The money must be donated on air. As a reminder, Mike is the current annual chairman, so he holds that title for a while longer, and Federico is the current keynote chairman. Twitter handles are on the line.
we have been spending the last few days sending our Rickies backwards and forwards, agreeing upon the riskiness. We've actually gotten pretty efficient now. The way that it tends to go these days is we will all send multiples now of our Ricky picks via text message, and then there will be an adjudication period of like 1 is Ricky, 2 needs additional information. There's less screaming, but there has still been quite a lot of debating of. I think there was one thing where I just kept saying to Stephen, no, this isn't enough, and I think he ended up abandoning. I just kept asking for more, and I was not satiated, so I think he just threw it out the window.
Imagine reading those messages out of context, like glancing at the lock screen of somebody else and seeing the message, no, this is not Ricky enough. Like,
you must do more to make this adequately Ricky. What is wrong with you?
What would you think?
Well, really, what is it like to just listen into this podcast for the first time?
Right. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the Bill of Rickies has been read.
Very nicely, I might add.
Very nicely. Well done. It is time to commence the Rickies.
Straight after this break.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build your online presence and to run your business. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, they've got you covered. Squarespace combines cutting-edge design and world-class engineering, making it easier than ever to establish your home online and make your ideas a reality. Squarespace has everything you need to make a beautiful and modern website. You start with a professionally designed template and use drag-and-drop tools to make it your own. You can customize the look and feel, the settings, the products you have on sale, and so much more with just a few clicks. And all of their websites are optimized for mobile. Your content automatically adjusts, so it looks great on any device. You'll also get unlimited hosting, top-of-the-line security, and dependable resources to help you succeed. There's nothing to patch or upgrade. Their customer support is available 24/7 if you have any questions. Lets you quickly and easily grab a unique domain name, and you have everything you need for SEO and email marketing to get your ideas out there. You can use Squarespace to turn your next big idea into a website. You can show your work with some incredible portfolio designs, publish a blog post, promote your business, announce upcoming events, and so much more. Absolutely love Squarespace. It is always my recommendation when someone asks what they should build their website on. Head to squarespace.com/connected for a free trial with no credit card required. And when you're ready to go, use the offer code CONNECTED to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain name. That's squarespace.com/connected. When you decide to sign up, use the offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for the show. Our thanks to Squarespace for the support of Connected and all of Relay FM.
So my first regular pick. In the next version of iPadOS, you can put widgets in more places out of the left column on the home screen. So I think we all agree that one of the surprises last year was the lack of widgets on the iPad home screen. Mm-hmm. And it really feels to me like that's one of the obvious features that have to be added to iPadOS 15. I think a lot of iPad users will be really upset if widgets are still going to be limited to the left column on iPad. And so I try to phrase my pick very carefully by saying in the next version of iPadOS, you can put widgets in more places, because I could see Apple doing something that we do not expect. Like the obvious solution is, now you can drag them on the home screen and you can put them alongside icons, just like on the iPhone. But I tried to phrase it more as to make it as broad as possible, because I could see Apple do something strange and unusual with the iPad home screen. Like it's not a home screen anymore. It's more similar to the dashboard or whatever. So we all know what I mean by you can drag them out of the left column. That's really what I want to see in iPadOS 15. I think it's an obvious feature to add. I could see Apple, this is all context, by the way, that I'm providing. It's not part of the pick. I could see Apple do things like additional sizes for iPad. different shapes. It would be fun to have, I don't know, L-shaped widgets, because why not? More realistically, they will take a more classic approach, maybe some new sizes for iPad. But really, I just want to be able to drag them out of the left column, put them anywhere I want, except from the dock. I guess you cannot put a widget in the dock.
So to be clear, your pick just says, in the next version of iPad OS, you can put widgets in more places out of the left column.
More places out of the left, yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
I feel like if we get anything for the iPad this year, it's got to be this. Like, I expect, unlike a lot of features that Apple introduces in a version of iOS, I expect widgets to get updates on every platform this year.
Yes, I agree.
Right? It isn't one of those features where it's like, hey, we did this thing and maybe we'll come back to it in a couple of years' time. Because this is like one of the rare times where they've actually had a runaway success.
Yeah.
And so for them not to add more, when it was obvious to us that they would need to add more anyway, right? Like last year we were saying, all right, I've done this and surely they're going to do different sizes and they're going to add some interactivity and they're going to put them on the iPad. So we would have expected all of that anyway. And considering how successful they have been, you would expect that all of those things and maybe more will be done.
This is like top priority for them at the moment, like top of the list.
Should be.
I would assume it should be.
Like, I know people were super into the idea of like, oh, let's get some custom icons and design themes and all that kind of stuff. But they are all only things that people were doing because of widgets. So as long as you make sure you're fulfilling like more on widgets, you'll be making enough people happy anyway. Right, like people weren't creating custom icons with shortcuts until widgets became a thing because
not
on mass, right? Like it did not become a mass market thing to do that.
Nope,
like
not at all.
People could only do it because it was possible. Like you were doing it, but you were doing it because that's who you are, right? Like you found the way to make that work. When people only wanted to change the icons of their home screens the way that they wanted to because they could set up their aesthetic AF widget environment, Okay, so for my first pick, I don't feel like I have to say that. I don't feel like this needs to even really be said. This seems like such an obvious thing to me, but I want to go for it anyway because I know there's going to be some people that think that this is going to happen. There will be no preview of AR-focused hardware at WWDC.
So this is a negative pick.
Negative pick, yeah.
Okay.
A dispassionate pick.
Can negativity be passionate? I guess. Yeah, of course it can.
You've literally described murder.
That's the most negative. Anyway, so I got a couple of things. One, I think it's early anyway, right? And the main thing for me is I just don't see why you would need to do it now. So one, I feel very confident in this idea that Apple will first show off this device when they can actually have people from the press try it on in an environment they control. Which, I mean, honestly, is probably not that far away in the US. Within the next couple of months, I'm sure Apple could provide a very limited press environment. Even if they don't do a typical event, right, where they bring a bunch of people in, they could at least bring 15 to 20 people from the tech press to Apple Park and give them a hands-on after an event has been shown to the world. Because for this technology to have the introduction that they're looking for, they're going to want people to say, I have tried this and it blew me away. Like you wait until you get an opportunity to try this on, right? Which is what they've done with all of their technology. It's a tried and true method of introducing something for Apple. And so I feel like that seems to me like the logical thing to do. And then people say to me, but what about developers? Like, as if developers can only work at one time of the year, right? Developers only work between June and September. Like, it's an impossibility to assume that an SDK could be released in October or at any other point in the year. Like, Apple can release SDKs at any time, right? They could just be like, here's this hardware. It's coming out sometime next year. and we have now made a selection of tools available for developers, right? Like, that it doesn't, not only at WWDC is that the only time, like, it's not just at WWDC is the only time that can happen. It's not what they did with the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch wasn't first shown off at WWDC. It was shown off in like a September event, and it came out in March or something.
Yeah, it was the iPhone 6 event.
Yeah, and it came out in March, so you had like 5 months, because they get to just choose whatever way they want to do these things. And I actually think that there is a benefit into not releasing an SDK for this device at the same time they're doing everything else. So I don't think it's happening now. I think they're going to want to devote serious time to it when they can really go through it. Have like a 1 hour event showing off this brand new, incredible technology that they're producing. I don't think that it's going to be at this year's WWDC.
Didn't I pick that we were going to see it at some point? Oh, I tried to sneak it in on the iPad.
We did this, and I gave you a mini version of what I just said then.
Yeah.
So where are you then? Do you think they're going to do it now if you thought they were going to do it in April?
Well, my thing in April was a trick, that if they put AR something on the iPad, I was going to say I got the point. Remember? It was a trick. So, I don't know. I mean, I think your reasons are good, but who knows?
Can I clarify a few things here?
Is it a trick?
So if they show off like a developer headset
Yeah.
that is more VR or mixed reality, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what, AR, VR, mixed reality, any of it. We can...
All of those count. So you're saying no hardware whatsoever for this kind of stuff.
Correct.
So that maybe
So
needs to
you're
be
not gonna-
rewarded.
Well, it's
Right.
All right.
Because if they do a VR headset, you can say, well, I said AR, so
Yeah,
VR.
no, that's fine. I knew what I meant, and I've put it in the document. No
Okay.
preview of AR, VR, MR focused hardware.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
I think it's too early, and I don't know why they would need to do it next week.
Not too early for VR.
But Apple aren't going to
But-
do just a VR product.
Wasn't there a rumor they were going to do that first?
There was, yes.
No, they were going to do a mixed reality
I
product.
said I remember.
No, it was an MR headset, which
Okay.
people call it a VR headset, but the rumor is that it would be a mixed reality headset. So you could do both or whatever. Like a headset, but it wasn't supposed to be VR or what. But even then, like, I don't think Apple is going to do... Because the reason that I don't think they would do VR is because, like, they're not going to do VR. Like, Apple's ambition is not to be a virtual reality company.
No,
Right?
no,
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense for them. So they're not going to be like, hey, we've created this entire virtual reality operating system. Like, it doesn't make any sense for Apple, in my opinion. Like, AR is where they want to go, and they're only going to do the mixed reality headset first, which would do a combination of AR and VR-like activities, because they've got to get this product out there into developers' hands, and they are years away from a product comfortable enough to wear on our faces and walk around in the street all the time.
Additional question. What if they show off an accessory that turns your phone into a headset?
I mean, if they do that, I will happily lose the pick because Apple will become dorky.
Okay.
Like, if that's what
Okay.
if they make Google Cardboard, right? Or like,
Right. Whatever. Yes.
like
that kind
that's
of
just-
thing.
that would just be stupid. Like,
Okay.
Google tried that like 3 times and none of it worked.
Okay. I'm just making sure that we're covering all the ground here. Okay.
That would be hardware that Apple would sell, and its focus would be VR, I suppose.
All right.
I like how much you need to clarifying this.
Yes.
Very specific.
Yes.
All right.
Steven, you're up.
iPad OS 15 changes the home screen in a way that breaks continuity with the iPhone.
I don't understand this bit. I don't know what this means.
Me neither.
So earlier when I said about me asking Stephen for multiple levels of clarification, this was originally a candidate for one of his Ricky picks, which is interesting to me that it's now made its way to a regular pick. And I feel like I could not get the answer I was looking for. So I'm pleased that we're having this conversation now.
Maybe continuity is a bad word. Maybe we can come up with something better.
because you could say that the iPad has already broken continuity with the iPhone because it's got a left column and the iPhone doesn't.
And the iPhone broke continuity with the
I get the
iPad
point.
because you can put widgets wherever you want, an app library. So I don't know what this means. Can you try and explain what you're thinking rather than just trying to come up with a new word?
So my thought is the iPad acts basically like an iPhone in terms of the home screen. Yes, there's app library. Yes, the widgets are in different places, but it's a grid of icons and there's some widgets and there's a search thing that's hidden that most people probably don't know about. I think there's room for the iPad to go beyond just a grid of apps. And hopefully, if Federico gets his point, and I hope you do, widgets in more places. And this actually comes, I think you wrote about this in an iPad OS or iOS review years ago, maybe. Why can't I have things like a pinned folder or documents on the home screen of my iPad?
Yeah.
Why can't I have things where I want them on the iPad home screen like I do the Mac? I'm not saying turn the home screen of the iPad into Finder. I'm not saying to turn it into the Mac desktop, but I think there's room for increased flexibility, especially as people are using these things more and more like laptops. And Apple wants you to, right? They sell a very expensive keyboard and trackpad option.
Okay.
And a lot of people really like them. A lot of people, including me, my iPad never comes out of it. But when I wake it up, it's just this grid of apps, and it feels like such a wasted space. And I think that they could push it further than the iPhone and continue to move them apart in this way.
Okay. So what's your pick then?
Because like my problem with this, Steven, is that what if on the iPhone you can also put files and folders on the home screen?
Yeah, then it hasn't. Then I don't get it because they're the same.
All right. So
my point really is the iPhone and iPad will diverge in the way it treats its home screen more than they have now.
So maybe a way to describe it is the iPad home screen changes with features that are not available on the iPhone's home screen.
Yeah.
Like it has to have things that you just cannot put on the iPhone in iOS 15.
So you could say brings organizational changes. iPadOS 15 brings organizational changes that do not exist to the home screen that do not exist on the iPhone. And then you need to put an additional bullet, which is this does not include widgets.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, yeah, because if Federico just gets his point and that's all they do, I don't get mine because then there's just continuity between the two.
Because that is actually consistent with the iPhone if they do that.
Yeah, I'm saying the iPad's going to leapfrog the iPhone and go beyond what the iPhone is today.
Okay. Basically, I'm trying to mitigate here a situation where you both score a point for the same thing because that's technically not allowed.
Okay, so I'm going to put as a note, not in part of the pick.
Now, I think I understand the spirit of Steven's pick, like something that is more like in a way sort of reminiscent of the Mac, but it's obviously not like the Mac. Like something totally different.
I get it too. But
right?
It's not about whether we say we understand it now. It's whether we can all agree next week as to whether...
It has to be codified in the document, obviously.
So the note says widgets on home screen and app library don't count as they are on the iPhone already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but like I tell you the thing that I don't like, right? If they announce, the only thing that they announce is you can put widgets arbitrarily anywhere on the home screen, you both get a point for that one thing.
No, I don't, because
Steven doesn't.
Because that already exists on the iPhone.
But it already exists on the iPhone.
But what if you can just put widgets wherever you want and they don't snap to a grid?
That would be new, because the iPhone is forced into a grid.
But what if the iPhone gets it too?
Then I don't get it because then they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can live with that. I mean, it's still, I don't like it.
There's some dicing here we'll have to do.
Hold on. iPadOS 15 brings organizational changes to the home screen that don't exist on the iPhone, including iOS 15.
Yes. I meant to infer that, but yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to compare iPadOS 15 to iOS 14.
Or iOS 7.
With the original iPhone, you couldn't even move apps around, so I get a point. Okay, so the final reading, and I'll copy it in the Discord for people keeping score. iPadOS 15 brings organization changes to the home screen that don't exist on the iPhone, including iOS 15. And then we have an internal note: widgets on home screen and app library don't count as they are on the iPhone already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it has to have new stuff that is iPad only.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for helping me clarify that. I see now that my original language was not clear enough.
Round 2. Okay, so as you can start to infer by now, I'm going all in on widgets. So my second prediction is WidgetKit, which is the developer framework to make widgets, gains new interactivity features that allow you to perform actions inside widgets without launching the associated app. This is the big limitation of iOS
Perfectly clear.
14, right? That every time you tap on a widget, it's not really interactive. It launches something.
Yeah.
Basically, widgets right now are glorified URL launchers. And that would explain why we haven't seen widgets from Apple such as playback controls on the home screen or HomeKit widgets that let you turn off the lights and that kind of stuff.
I mean, they could do whatever they wanted because they didn't care about shortcuts.
Right, but I think, but I think if Apple wanted to do these widgets, they would probably wait for proper interactions within widgets on the home screen. So for this to be true, for this pick to be correct, obviously Apple would have documentation for developers to make these kinds of widgets, or they would, and I think they will show off some built-in examples of these widgets. Now, my pick says WidgetKit gains new interactivity features. So this has to be, by WidgetKit, I mean the developer framework. So even if they change the name of WidgetKit from WidgetKit to something else, like I obviously still get the point. The idea is that as developers, you can now make widgets that support actions and don't launch stuff necessarily.
And what's also important here, I like that you stipulated this actually, is if Apple just introduce a bunch of widgets that you can press buttons in, this isn't the point for you because it's not in WidgetKit.
No. I think this will be should be one of the key additions to widgets for everybody this year, that you can have glanceable widgets, sure, and all of that stuff from last year, but also now you can perform actions directly on the home screen without launching apps all the time. So as you can imagine, stuff like Timery, like home widgets, music players, right? All that kind of stuff should be possible in theory if this pick is correct.
Very nice. I would love it.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to imagine what this is because that's what we had, right? Like you used to be able to check things off a to-do list in a widget, and it just seems inevitable to me that they will bring that back because what we have now is great, and I love having them on the home screen, but it's disappointing when you go to interact with them and you realize, oh, right, this is just one big dumb button.
So I'll ask you a question. Obviously, Apple did announce that the old style widget would be deprecated, and then they kind of hid them a little bit as well and made them not as easy to get to. They didn't announce when they would disappear. Do you think that the deprecation of the old widget type would make it any more likely that Apple would add interactivity, or do you think that they kind of...
do you want to wait for the risky picks or not?
I'm asking this question specifically around not talking about your...
I think the two things you just mentioned are related.
So you would imagine that they if they were going to deprecate the old style widget, they would want to replace the basic functionality of it.
Well, the old style widgets are already deprecated, and they have been since last year. The question is, will they actually remove those?
Yeah, deprecation eventually results in something being taken away, but that is a flexible time frame. Like there isn't like a set amount of time that once something's deprecated, it is removed in X amount of software versions afterwards.
Right.
Because I just wonder if my feelings, I don't really feel like one has to happen for the other to happen. Like I feel like I could imagine Apple deprecating the old and removing the old and not replacing them with interactive widgets. Like I could also imagine that as easily as I could imagine them doing it.
I feel like, though, this would be totally Apple thing to do. Like you introduce WidgetKit version 1 the previous year, and it's based on glanceability and previews, doesn't have interactions. You keep the old widgets around if you want to use them. However, you cannot place them on the home screen. And you say, look, these widgets are deprecated and they will be removed in the future. The following year, you had a year to see the response to widgets. You can tell that people are really happy about widgets and they want more out of them. So you introduce support for interactions in widgets. And while you're at it, you say, well, now those widgets we said they're deprecated. Now you cannot install those anymore. And there's no need to, because now if you're a developer, you have a much better way to make interactive widgets that you can also place anywhere on the home screen. I could see Apple do that. And we're going to talk about more about these in a few minutes. But yeah.
Shortcuts for the Mac is my pick.
So I have a question about this. You're saying the shortcuts application, or are you saying something like, for instance, shortcuts actions in apps could be used to something like Automator?
No, like shortcuts. It's shortcuts app for the Mac. That would be bananas to do that. No, they're gonna do it. Shortcuts for the Mac. Like, I think it's gonna happen at some point, and I want it to be now, so I'm wishing it into existence.
Shortcuts for the Mac.
So shortcuts for the Mac. I mean, there's nothing else to say. Like, it's just the shortcuts app on the Mac. That's all you want to see.
Yeah. I mean,
fair enough.
I want to see lots of things, like there's lots of ways that I would want it to work. But for this year, all I want them to do is to create a version of it that works on the Mac. And maybe if you use Catalyst apps, those are really easy to make shortcuts actions for. And maybe they give tools to developers of more traditional Mac apps for them to like offer up shortcuts to the system. I just want to see this project start because it feels like it is already a little bit overdue. And I mean, it's not like any of Apple's other user automation systems are getting any love. Clearly, they feel this was important enough to put into their most popular operating system. They should put it into the Mac as well. Like, at this point, I don't really know why you wouldn't do this. Even if you just created it so you could do simple things like automating system actions, like that would be great. But yeah, I really miss shortcuts on the Mac than from my iPad and my iPhone. And it's too frequently I feel like I have to pick up my iPhone to run a shortcut when I'm sitting at my Mac. And so I want to have it. I want to have shortcuts for the Mac. So I'm putting my passion where my picks are.
I agree. I will love this. So, yeah. I hope you get it. I think you'll get it also. Steven.
Yes.
Another negative pick in this Rickies.
And also very confusing.
And also, are you sure about this?
No word on an Apple Silicon Mac Pro.
Can I lift the curtain a little bit?
Whew. Yeah, I'm dressed.
One of Steven's Ricky picks that he sent to us for consideration was Apple gives a launch date for the Apple Silicon Mac Pro. What changed in 24 hours for you? You went from not only are they going to show it off, they're going to tell us exactly when it's coming, to nothing at all. What changed?
A couple things.
Are you cheating here?
No,
Yeah,
I don't know anything. A couple things, though. There's a rumor out today that the MacBook Pros with the new screen technology are in Q3. That makes me wonder if we're going to see any hardware at all at WWDC.
Q3 is like 4 weeks away.
Yeah, but Q3 is also 2 or 3.5 months away because Apple ships things at the end of things. I don't think it's ready. I just don't think that, the more I think about it, they've got MacBook Pros to do, potentially a higher end Mac Mini, a big iMac. It just feels like it's too soon.
But who suggests what order things need to be released in?
The Mac Pro is always last.
Why?
Because it's the most powerful. And it's the most niche product they have in the Mac line. And so get the stuff that's actually going to sell in real numbers done first and do the Mac Pro last. It was last in the Intel transition. It went 19 years without an update, and now here we are.
The iMac was first in the Intel transition.
There's also
and it wasn't first in the Apple Silicon transition.
it got a
It was
redesign.
like fourth.
They got a redesign, which made it later. And the rumor is the Mac Pro is getting a redesign again. And there's also a rumor floating around that there's possibly an Intel update coming to the Mac Pro before the Apple Silicon one is out. So the more I thought about it, the more I think it's not for next week.
I've never seen such a huge reversal.
Well,
It's really kind of incredible.
Look, here's what happened. When I said we're going to get a date, that was my heart speaking.
Right.
And now my head has come in. I said, look, heart,
What's wrong with you?
you're foolish.
You fool.
You foolish heart
Fool.
man. And so that's where we are. No word on the Mac Pro.
I think we're getting a teaser, so we'll see how that goes.
No word on, no, read my pick. No word on an Apple Silicon Mac Pro. If there's an Intel update,
Yeah.
different.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I think we're getting a teaser for the...
Why would you show off the Intel update spec bump to the Mac Pro?
No, they won't. I think if they do update the Intel Mac Pro, it'll be silent. It'll just be like, someone goes to the config page one day, and 9 to 5 Mac is like, look, there's a new processor option, and that's all there is.
You know how these things go.
I could also imagine them whenever they announce the Apple Silicon Mac Pro, just like as a footnote at the end of their presentation, be like, and we're also updating, like when they show off the price. And we're also updating the Intel Apple Silicon Mac Pro.
It's at the very end of the show, like the Ted Lasso shortbread recipe. It's
only
cut off
half of the configuration.
The new there's also a Mac Pro updated with the new Intel, and then it's just cut off.
Okay.
With those old chips, I'd say.
So that's it for the regular picks.
Mm-hmm.
Have we been light on passion?
No, I think that's what we do for the regular picks.
I feel like I don't think that we've picked run-of-the-mill things.
I'm pretty happy with them. We got specific.
I think the amount of time it's taken us to clarify some of these.
Yeah, especially you, Stephen.
Yeah, with
the first
would suggest some like fever dream, like,
and the AR, VR, MR also, like, that was pretty specific. No, have we been accused of dispassion?
I would say if there was a passion scale, Federico, you would be at the bottom of it so far.
But that's how.
Maybe I'm very confident you'll make up for it later on, but
that's how I win. That's how I win these games. And also, I'm saving a surprise for the end.
Hang on a second. It's how you win until you lose, and when you lose, you then say there was no passion from anybody else. So
that's your interpretation.
Passion is
events.
fungible for you.
Yes, sometimes.
Fungible passion picks, FFPs.
Also, I think I will make up for my safe regular picks. I mean, the regular picks because they're supposed to be safe. Like, you're supposed to get the point. I think I'll make up for it in the risky pick because I have very strong opinions about it. And also, I'm saving a surprise for the flexes. Like, something that you've never, ever seen on this program before.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Clean My Mac X. You should be able to rely on your computer. It should be in good enough shape to get you to your goals. It should be fast and organized and make working with it a dream. But that's not always the case. If you're a Mac user, you should check out Clean My Mac X from our friends over at MacPaw, who are diligent Mac developers many in the Mac community trust. Clean My Mac X is an ideal decluttering app for the Mac. It includes 49 tools to find and delete invisible computer junk. It helps tune up the Mac so it runs at maximum speed. It also organizes disk space, showing you large hidden folders that may be taking up precious megabytes you didn't know about, or terabytes if you're me. Plus, you can free up tons of space so your Mac never runs into issues with storage, and it fights Mac-specific malware and adware and protects your computer. Clean My Mac X is notarized by Apple, so you know it's been checked for security by Apple, and it really stands out on design. It is beautiful. It makes such a difference when an app is enjoyable to use. You'll always be discovering new ways to optimize your Mac. So get Clean My Mac X today with 5% off at macpaw.app/connected. This discount is valid for 2 weeks, So go now to macpaw.app/connected for 5% off. Our thanks to Clean My Mac X for their support of the show and Relay FM. Time for the Rickies.
I'm going to read the pick first, and then we can talk about it. The Today page is removed from the left side of the home screen in iOS 15. Legacy widgets are completely removed from the system. So we were talking about this a few minutes ago. This is a double pick, if you think about it. Okay, so let me explain. The Today page only exists in iOS on the iPhone, right? It's what you see when you swipe to the right. So it sits on the left side of the first page of your home screen. It's the page that contains all the widgets and the search bar on iPhone. That page also contains, it's very hidden, you gotta go look for it. It contains legacy widgets from iOS 13. As I was saying a few minutes ago, I really feel like Apple kept those legacy widgets around because WidgetKit last year, the new widget framework in iOS 14, couldn't support interactions. And so a lot of widgets that were possible thanks to the older framework couldn't be rebuilt with WidgetKit. Now, a lot of developers adapted, of course, but a lot of widgets that were possible before just could no longer exist, such as pcalc, for example. Like the pcalc widget, which was an actual calculator inside of a widget, it's just not possible with WidgetKit. And so my theory is that Apple kept those legacy widgets around for compatibility purposes, waiting until WidgetKit, the new framework, could support interactions. And so if you had to keep those widgets around and you couldn't drag them on other pages of the home screen, it was only logical that you were forced to keep the Today page around, right? But as I wrote in my iOS review last year, there's something quite strange about the layout of the home screen right now in iOS, which is Apple made a big deal out of this new feature called the App Library. And it's pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice. And yet, that major new feature, you have to scroll all the pages of your home screen to get to it. It's at the very end on the right side. I don't think that really makes sense. I think the app library belongs to the first page on the left side of your home screen. The app library belongs to where the Today page is today.
No, I want swipe up.
Like on Android?
Yeah, you want the Android launcher. So my theory is that Apple wanted to do that last year, but they couldn't because they had to keep legacy widgets around. So what I want to see, what I could see Apple do in iOS 15 is, okay, we're launching WidgetKit and it supports interact. It's like a cascade type of approach. Like we're launching WidgetKit 2.0 and it supports interactions. Therefore, developers of those older widgets can now use the new system to make interactive widgets that you can also put anywhere. Therefore, we can get rid of those legacy widgets. But if we're getting rid of those legacy widgets, is there really any reason to keep the Today page around? If any page can be your widget page, we already have a way to open search from the home screen on iPhone by swiping down. I really don't see why the Today page should stick around now and if we're going to have widgets anywhere that support interactions.
I would be sad because I like having a infinite scrolling page where I can just put as many widgets as I want in that I can just access all the time. I like it.
That's the counter argument.
Like,
sure.
I have no problem with them getting rid of the old widgets. I don't use any of them anymore. But I would be bummed out if they got rid of that view, to be honest. Because otherwise, like, I would just like scroll through through home screen pages all the time, and I wouldn't like that.
I want to point out something in my pick. I say the Today page is removed from the left side of the home screen. I wanted to clarify this because if they keep it on the lock screen, I still get the point. However, I still believe the legacy widgets will be completely removed anywhere, like from the entire system.
So both have to happen for you to get this.
Yes.
You really are all in on widgets this time.
And I'm a man of passion.
Man,
So-
you could really
You could really bomb out
Things
here,
could-
buddy.
like. Can you imagine? Like, the iOS portion starts and it's like, people have really loved widgets this year, so we're gonna give you additional sizes. All right, let's move on. And then Federico is just over.
Yeah.
like done.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing you didn't pick,
Mm-hmm. Well, it could
Right?
be a flexi. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
right? But still, that's still Federico out of the game.
Yeah. That'd be incredible. Has anyone scored? I guess people have scored 0 before.
Yeah,
I don't think so, but I feel pretty confident about this. I feel
confident about at least 2 of them.
Mhm.
Your Ricky.
It's too complicated for your own good.
No,
Why is it
I just
complicated?
I don't know why they would get rid of the today page. Like I understand what you're saying, but I don't feel like this is a surefire thing, right?
Mhm.
Which I'm sure you believe too, right? I'm sure you don't believe this 100%. This is
No,
going
no.
to
I mean,
happen,
it wouldn't be risky.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
I just want to clarify because we're saying the today page is removed. Now, what if it's still called today, but it's something else completely? Like, what if it's called today, but it's actually the app library? Like, what are the ways that this pick could potentially be, lead to an argument between us?
Well, I think an easier way to score this is just to say that there isn't a page left of the home screen where you can put widgets, and also legacy widgets are completely removed from the system.
So legacy widgets have to be removed, and that's easy to understand. Like the old widgets with the translucent background, those are gone, right? The today page is removed from the left side. Now, what if there's still a page on the left, but it's the app library? I get the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the left side, there's no longer a page that is just for widgets.
Correct. Put
Okay.
that. Because they could do loads of things and call it today.
Exactly. Like, what if they what if they relaunch it? They call it today, but it's like Siri predictions and search, and if you want, you can put widgets. Like, how does that qualify? Like, what if it becomes the proactive page?
I've changed your pick.
Okay.
Legacy widgets are completely removed from the system, and there is no longer a place to put widgets to the left of the main home screen.
Okay.
Good, Federico?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
The Discord has said that, Federico, you got a -1 point on the annual 2020 picks.
Yeah, that seems about right.
That's not 0.
That's a real bloodbath.
Yeah.
0 is, what we think of as 0 is -1, right? Because -1 is you got nothing correct. And
Right.
then you end up with -1. To get a 0, there are many ways to get a 0.
Yeah. Whew, that's rough,
How
man.
confusing. How beautifully confusing.
Okay. Mike, hit us with your Ricky pick.
Apple makes changes to the rules on in-app purchases, removing restrictions on linking to external websites for account creation, etc. Now, I may need some massaging of the wording here, like for it to like. But I think you know what I'm saying. But I'm just going to state it again in case we want to change some stuff up. So, I think that the thing that they're going to change is when you go to say you open up the Netflix app for the first time, and it says sign in. That currently there's nowhere that Netflix can even put a link for you to go out and sign up. That's what I think they're going to bring back. At least the ability for a developer to put a link to account creation on it back in their applications.
Okay. So when you say makes changes to rules, it has to be like an official thing. Like they have to say it.
Yes, we have to be able to know. Like, I mean, where I actually expect this to be found out is
when they update the developers
agreement
guidelines or agreement. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think this will be in the keynote. I don't even think it will be in the State of the Union.
Right.
They may talk about it and I think they probably would talk about it, but the key place that we'll find out about it is there.
Yeah.
Like how last year, remember there was like a big thing about like, I actually think it came before WWDC, which could end up being a problem for me, but
Yes.
about how they were doing some like rule changey stuff. So this could be one of those things where I'm right, but am burned by. Honestly, I forgot the rule. I thought the rule. I'm still sticking with my pick. I was a little bit upset earlier during the reading of the rules. In my memory, picking began when the episode between episodes. But nevertheless, I'm sticking with this.
You know they're going to announce it on Friday, and you won't get it.
But then I'll still take the moral victory that I was right, but I just won't get any points.
The moral victory doesn't get you a Twitter account, my friend.
I already got one. How many does the boy need? Oh my God, Jason of Wikipedia has said, I was the person that made the rule this way. And I stand by it. It's a good rule because, I actually think that for doing this, it makes the most sense for the grading to begin from keynote start to when we record. I think that's the best way for this rule to be. But I still think, basically my thinking on this pick is, they're going to have to make this change at some point. Why not just do it now?
Yeah, do it before a judge makes you do it. Here's the thing. I feel like you've been light on passion, and I
just had a double Ricky in a single. Come on.
And
okay.
I have a dump truck full of passion I'm getting ready to back up to your door.
I don't think this is passion that you've got.
This is not passion. This is being foolish with your Ricky.
This is just, yeah.
This is just throwing away the point.
Yep.
Federico, I'm doing this for you.
I know and I appreciate it, but you don't have to.
That's where the passion is.
Is there some kind of like maximum limit of accounts that you can be signed into the Twitter app or something that you've met, and so you don't want another one? So you're like purposefully torpedoing your chances at winning the Rickies this year?
Apple unveils a new high-end audio product.
I don't understand.
I mean, I would love it.
Why would you do this to yourself?
Were you inspired by the iPod Touch conversation?
I was inspired by the DAC conversation.
Oh, really?
And I think that Apple wants people to enjoy music, and what better way to do it than sell a $399 DAC that you can plug into your iPhone?
Wait, what? You think they're going to sell a standalone DAC?
And that's one of the many possibilities.
Oh
you really think they would make that product?
Yeah. It's a high-end, expensive product that makes their services more
From
better.
The company that brought you the HomePod.
But why wouldn't they just make Federico's iPod? Why would they make a DAC?
Because then you can use it with your phone, and it can be way more than an iPod Touch.
Well, it can be just a DAC.
You could just... Nah, Steven, man. Are you okay?
No one in the Discord likes this pick.
Because it's bad.
No,
That's
okay.
why.
Hold on. They could... What if they unveil a new HomePod?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would get that. But they're not going to do that either. They're not going to do any of these things.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with this pick. Can we make sure that it meets the threshold for high end?
Okay, so here's what I'll ask. Original HomePod, was that high end?
Yes.
I would think so.
Right, so you don't... all right, Federico.
I said I would think so. Yes, I think so.
I thought you said
yes.
I don't think so. And we're going to have to have a conversation.
No.
So it has to start at the price the HomePod started at, which was what, $399?
But it's a price base. I mean, what if they make a DAC and it's $100?
A DAC's high-end.
Then that's not high end.
I think a DAC is. Normal people don't have DACs. High-end audio.
See?
No, just saying normal people don't have it doesn't equate to high end.
Apple unveils a...
Oh, this is going places.
What if we give you both? Get you a pick that can do both.
Apple unveils a new audio product.
It's a DAC of any price or anything else over $399.
Hold on. What if it's an audio only device? Audio only like it's a speaker, a DAC, headphones.
No, because I'm not letting him get away with AirPods, right?
And then you get to the question of, is like the inclusion of Siri make it an audio-only product? What is a
I
computer?
think we go with it's either over $399 or it's a standalone DAC. I want standalone DAC put down in the document of record.
I think it should,
because it is such a bananas thing that you have dared to utter on this show.
If that's what inspired Steven, it should be in the pick.
Can I do it as a note, not in the pick?
No, because we were trying to define what is high end, right?
As defined by a price, I'm just going for it, over $399, or it's a
People
DAC.
complained about my pick being long.
Standalone DAC. Standalone DAC is the important part here.
It has to be But okay, yeah, it's standalone.
Oh
sure.
my God, Stephen.
Remember, you
What is
mocked me
happening?
about an Apple Silicon desktop computer.
Yeah, but that wasn't outside of the realm of possibility. We all knew it was going to happen. We just thought it was too early.
If Steven wins this game with, and I just want to repeat these picks, iPadOS 15 brings organizational changes to the home screen that don't exist on the iPhone, including iOS 15, and no word on an Apple Silicon Mac Pro, and Apple unveils a new high-end audio product as defined by a price over $399, or it's a standalone DAC, I am going to quit this show.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So everything's on the line for you here, Stephen.
Mad respect, Steven, but
that's it. We can't get any more than that. We're done.
Look, I mean, if you lose the game, we told you, and all's good.
We tried to warn you.
But if you win the game with these picks, it means I don't understand Apple anymore. None of us here do. So Apple unveils a new high-end audio product as defined by a price of by a price of or
over $399. Because the Discord asks, what if it costs $399?
Of or over, sure. $399, or it's a standalone DAC.
It's a terrible sentence. You know what's going to happen to me? I'm not going to get it now, but they'll release a DAC at the iPhone event in the fall.
No, they won't, Stephen. They're never going to do that.
No, the iPhone will have a new built-in DAC. That's it.
that's very likely, right? But Apple's not going to release a standalone DAC.
We'll see.
They won't do this.
We'll see.
They'll release an iPod Touch with a good DAC in it. This is madness.
I love it. I love it. Imagine the DAC that I have, but made by Apple. I love
as I'm saying this now, I'm like,
You see the wisdom in it.
no, I'm realizing this horrible situation where they're like, hey, we've released a new cable for the AirPods Max.
It has a DAC
And
in
it costs $25 and it has a DAC inside.
Oh my. And he gets the point.
I get the point.
All right, hang on.
No, we're done. Time to move on.
No, he gets
No. Hang on.
It's a standalone DAC, and he gets the point.
How is DAC? Do they have to say it's that?
It's a digital to analog converter.
We know what a DAC is.
Yeah.
Without the DAC part, I feel like I just need to double back on this a second because we're very DAC focused now.
Yeah.
Apple unveils a new high-end audio product of $399 or over is also a just really wild pick because they're not going to do that next week, right? They just got rid of the HomePod.
I told you, a dump truck full of passion.
I don't think it's passion.
This pick is a fake out in its first part. The real trick to this pick is the standalone DAC.
No, it's not a trick. No, I will not allow for this conversation to have changed my mind on this.
They are totally going to do the $20 DAC that it's a cable. They are totally going to do that. And
no. Actually, I'm thinking about it. They would have done that already. They wouldn't wait for WWDC to release that cable. They would have done it last week.
But what if it requires iOS? No, they cannot do that, though. It doesn't make sense to announce.
They would have said, we've got this DAC coming. And when Apple Music Lossless rolls out, you'll be able to buy this cable for your AirPods Max. They would have dealt with that already if that was the thing that they were releasing. They're not going to wait for WWDC to release an AirPods Max cable.
This is an incredible pick. I love it.
Bravo to you.
It could go so wrong in so many different ways.
What is it? You're thinking different over there.
Yeah.
That's your
I got real galaxy brain.
Here's to the Hackett ones.
Let's take a break and then we'll get into the flexies. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Storyworth. If there's ever been a year to make the dads in your life feel loved and appreciated on Father's Day, it's this one. Yep, a lot of us haven't gotten to see a lot of our parents and family this year, and it's been tough. That's why you should consider a heartfelt, sentimental gift the whole family can cherish together forever. Storyworth. It's an online service that helps your dad, grandfather, father-in-law, and every father figure in your life share stories through thought-provoking questions about their memories and personal thoughts. It's a fun new way to engage with them, especially if you can't be together in person. Every week, Storyworth emails your dad a different story prompt, questions you've never thought to ask, like, what's a favorite story about your father? What things are you proudest of in your life? And on and on. It's actually my favorite thing about Storyworth. I went through it a few years ago, and it's questions I would never think to ask. They've helped numerous families learn. Storyworth has helped numerous families learn about each other in special ways. There's no shortage of surprises when reading the weekly stories, and they make your family feel closer, even if you're not together. After a year, Storyworth will compile all your dad's stories, including photos, into a beautiful keepsake book that's shipped for free. Give your dad the most meaningful gift this Father's Day with Storyworth. Get started right away with no shipping required by going to storyworth.com/connected, and you'll get $10 off your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/connected for $10 off. Our thanks to Storyworth for the support of the show and Relay FM.
You know how some people are comfortable living with the status quo, with the current rules, just living in a society with rules that everybody knows and accepts and respects, right? Well, I am not that kind of person.
No.
And for that reason, today, for the first time on this show, I will pick 10 flexes.
I opened the document and I saw this and I just closed Google Docs and walked away. What are you doing?
I am putting my money and my reputation on the line by saying that I'm going to do 10 flexes, and I feel very good about at least 7 of them.
Which is bad. That's bad. If you only got 70%, that's bad for you, right? You understand that's it's like getting 3.
But where would the passion be? The ups and downs of getting a flexi right, and then another wrong, and then 3 more right, and so forth until you reach 10.
No, all of that. But you said you're staking your reputation on this.
Right.
And if you only got 70%,
look, and people will say he lost. If I get,
you're like Icarus.
If he lost $75 doing what he loved, which is being bold, unconnected.
Okay. That's what they'll say.
The great thing about this is people have already forgotten about my risky pick. This is now the focus.
Nah, Steven.
Yes.
Federico could roll up with 75 flexis. No one's forgetting the DAC. Right? No one's going to forget that. That is going to be infamous.
All right. 10 flexes, let's do it. Number 1, the weather app comes to iPad. How is it? Is that still the case that we don't have a weather app on the iPad?
Especially since they own Dark Sky. Just throw that on there.
And they have weather widgets and weather actions on iPad, but the invisible app, there's an invisible weather app on iPad that you cannot see, but it's there. It's just, it doesn't have a UI. So, weather app in iPadOS 15. Number 2, the Files app gets new features. Literally anything could work here. Just update the Files app, please.
No, they give the Files app new features every year. They just don't ship.
Yeah, they announced lots of new things.
They announced, hence why I'm picking that. I'm pretty sure they will announce them, but...
What if they announce, remember pinned files? We got them this year. That's not a new feature.
It's a new feature because it was never shipped. And 2 generations of iOS have passed. Therefore, the statute of limitations has lived. I don't know. It's technically.
I wouldn't mind actually creating a statute of limitations for the Rickies.
No, they can't be reused.
Well, unless we created a statute of limitations.
Oh, Becky, that's a terrible. Do you see what Becky wrote in Discord? If Steven gets his risky pick, he should change his Twitter name to Dak Daddy for like a week.
Oh my God, yes. You're the Duck Daddy.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just start calling you that anyway.
It's so perfect that I could have been the Duck Daddy, but Steven will be instead. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
and you're just like, I don't know, like Dak's son or something. What do you know?
Son of Dak. All right, what's your third Flexi?
Can I be a Lil Dak?
Little Dak. Little Dacky.
Lil Dak?
Dak Daddy and Little Dacky. You're getting ready for your debut album.
Duck Daddy.
Dak Daddy featuring Little Dak. Oh, yeah, 7 more to go or whatever. Just
Okay, strap in. We're just getting started here. A normal person would start here. Nope, no, that's not even true. They would start at 5. Number 3, Shortcuts gets new files actions. So I'm thinking there will be some new integrations with the Files app in Shortcuts. Ideally, you should be able to access any locations. But again, same as above, I would be happy with any new file-related action. So that's number 3. Number 4, this is a Flexi because I think I couldn't reuse it as a regular pick from last time. So number 4, better external display support on iPad. We talked about this last month. We all know what it is. Just let us use iPadOS with an external display with more features than, mirroring that we have now. Number 5, I hinted at this before. iOS and iPadOS 15 get native HomeKit widgets. The Home app is one of the few built-in apps that don't offer a widget at all, or widgets at all in iOS.
I thought about this, and I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tied up in your widgets should have buttons that work, right?
Yes.
But also, do you think that it being all in Control Center is like a release valve for this feature?
Maybe, but I think it's also like Control Center is already quite
sucks.
Yeah, it's not great. It's crowded, and it limits you in terms of how much UI you can design for a Control Center toggle. Sure, you can open the full-on home view in Control Center, but at that point, wouldn't it be easier to just have a widget on the home screen that toggles on and off your lights with one tap, and it would make for a perfect demo of the new widget kit? So yeah, that's a counter argument for sure, though. Like you can have those controls in Control Center, and you can use Siri. Why make a widget? But that argument could also go for a bunch of other features, right? And they still made widgets for them. So, number 6, the passwords feature of settings, also known as the keychain, becomes a standalone app. I've been thinking this for the past few years. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this very specific wish in all of my iOS reviews now. That feature of settings, the passwords feature, is one of some of Apple's best work in settings, and it's a cross collaboration of the authentication teams and Safari teams at Apple. It's really well done, and I think this should be its own thing. It does. There are a lot of features that are included in that page, and I think as soon as Apple gets, adds support for one-time authentication codes, for example, for two-factor authentication, if passwords can do that, it should totally become a standalone app. It already is a standalone password manager. It's just a little weird that it's built into settings.
It's always a pain to find.
It's a pain to find. It should be like the making it as an actual app on the home screen would also expose a lot more people to what it can do, and therefore could push a lot more people to create strong and secure passwords and realize, oh, the system actually does this for me. And they're also easier to find. Otherwise, you have to navigate in settings and you got to scroll to find it. It's why? Just make it a standalone app. I mean, you made apps for, clips and, whatever, and measure. I mean, is measure more important than passwords? I don't know. Number 7, Apple updates the Listen Now page of the music app. Now, set aside the fact that I switched to Spotify months ago, I really don't think the Listen Now page that we got in iOS 14 is good.
No.
The information density let's all face it, compared to Spotify, which is Apple's biggest competitor here, it's not good. Like you open the main Spotify homepage and you can see a lot of things at once, and they're pretty easy to interact with. You have your recent activity, you have your featured items, you have albums, you have podcasts. Now, I don't think Apple will do the podcast music integration that Spotify does, but the Listen Now page, man, I mean, come on, there's just like you open the page and on an iPhone 12 Pro Max, it shows you like 3 things. Because everything is so big and spaced out.
They've been leaving room for an ad for the DAC.
Sure. There will be a banner to get you a 10% off discount on the DAC. I think they will do something here. I don't think it's a great starting page for Apple Music. It's too clunky to use, and it's kind of boring. It doesn't do anything special. And I feel like it could use a bit of an update. Number 8, iOS 15 drops support for the iPhone 6s.
Yeah.
It's about time, right? That phone is old. Let's get rid of it. And it's got a great sort of end conclusion with iOS 14, but the next version will be iPhone 7 and up only. Number 9, and I'm almost done. The next version of iOS lets you change icons for apps natively without shortcuts or using custom profiles.
Why wasn't this a pick for you?
I don't know, because I felt like it was it was a whole story. All my picks are widget based. I don't know, it felt like more of a thing to do what I did. And yeah, really what they should do, like people will probably overthink this. I'm gonna offer you the solution here right now. Long press on the icon on the home screen. There's a new quick action that says change icon. And you pick the file you want to use. And that's it.
That's good.
That's all it is. No settings, no weird screen. I mean, they could do the screen. I mean, if you want to do a full-on UI customization screen, great, do it. But otherwise, just do the quick action and let me pick the icon that I want to use. It's one of those things where people know, Apple knows how people have been using iOS. They see at the top of the charts, right? All these apps that install custom profiles for you. And those profiles, most of them are harmless. But if you're not careful, those profiles could do other things on your phone, right? And I don't think Apple loves the idea. And also, if people really love customization, why force them to do the shortcut, right? That's more of a workaround. It's a clever workaround to do a custom shortcut just for the custom icon. So just let people change icons natively. And finally, number 10, also about shortcuts, there's a new way to turn off the confirmation banners in the Shortcuts app. You know what I'm talking about. That little rectangle that pops down with the check mark. Every single time you run a shortcut, you get the confirmation banner that says, good job, you just ran a shortcut. Like, please let me turn it off. And I think iOS 15 will have a way to turn it off. And that's it. 10 flexes.
Just well done.
But do you see the poetry to these flexes? Like, remember it was like 10 minutes ago, we were all joking and yelling, oh my God, 10 flexes. And now, look, time has flown by because there's beauty to these flexes that is rare to find in this program.
You're going to look back on this as a mistake.
You're definitely going to owe somebody some money.
Yeah. I have 6.
Wow.
6 flexes.
That's weak.
Okay, so originally Federico had 7 and I had 7 and I didn't want to do 7 and then Federico went to 10, so I removed 1 and now I have 6. New MacBook Pro. Preview of the Apple Silicon Mac Pro.
Yeah!
Let's do it.
It'll be great.
The Home app gets redesigned.
Oh, please, Apple. Please.
New features for FaceTime.
I'm not asking you to clarify your Flexi, but like, what would you want to see?
So I will apologize to people that have listened to Upgrade before this. I have reused a bunch of things because
Wow.
I'm but one human. And I have, spoiler alert, recorded them back to back today.
What are we?
Federico, I listen to App Stories. I have been hearing you talk about these things that are in your Flexis today. Okay? So don't even come at me with that. So, new features for FaceTime. A couple of the things that me and Jason were talking about, like backgrounds, being able to being able to send a link to someone to join a FaceTime, kind of like how you do with Zoom, and FaceTime on the web. So, I don't know why, Apple really should be pushing this and be better than Zoom, I guess. New notification management options. So this is what Mark Gurman was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a weird one, all right? But just bear with me a second. I want to say it, and I want to see if either of you can guess why I picked this. Tools for developers to make smoother or faster animations in iOS.
Higher refresh rate on future iPhones.
Yes. The reason I made this pick is really roundabout. I was using my iPad the other day and was like, oh yeah, I guess like we're going to get high refresh rate displays. And then I was thinking to myself, how could we guess from WWDC that it's coming? Like every now and again, Apple does something at WWDC and you're like, oh, they've added this because of this.
Make sure your apps can change sizes.
Yeah, that's the classic one, right? And so that's what I'm thinking. Like if we're going to get some kind of telegraphing, it would be to make your animation smoother or quicker. So either A, it works nicer, it shows off the, I think it'd be like a twofold thing. It will show off, you want to have your animations be smooth because then it will show off the high refresh rate display. But also, if you have animations just move more quickly, it's going to make people feel it even more so.
And there's also an accessibility angle here, which would be we give you controls to make sure that you're timing your animations just right for different kinds of users, right? It's a very intelligent pick, Mike. I think especially in the context of, it's that kind of feature that you're doing it now to prepare for future hardware on the iPhone. Very clever. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's my 6 because I'm not a maniac.
I have 5.
Yeah, of course you do. Because you know you're going to lose. You don't want to lose money as well as losing the competition.
Well, we'll see how mine go. I have quite a few of these that are in direct opposition to y'all's picks.
Steven, if either of us lose to Federico's 10, that's going to be real bad.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be real bad.
Mac OS skips ahead to version 15 to match iOS and iPadOS.
This is bananas. Why? Why do you think they would do this? What do you think they're going to do? WatchOS 15
like
as
they
well?
did for Windows.
Yeah, they made Windows 10.
You've based this purely on tvOS, haven't you? Like, this is your thinking here?
Yeah, the core OS in Apple's lineup.
But what about WatchOS?
tvOS is the core. You missed the... Number 2.
I think I would know that.
No new Mac notebooks are announced.
Did you say DAC notebooks?
No new Mac notebooks are
Yeah,
announced.
I mean, because why would they introduce a Mac when they can introduce a DAC? Am I right?
I don't think the MacBook Pros are ready. If they're going to have that new screen technology, I don't think they're ready.
That DACs are ready.
The next version of Mac OS comes with a redesigned Today view.
I mean, please, yes. Just.
Yeah.
This is literally the only pick you've made today that makes sense. Like, this is the only one.
Yeah, John spoke about it on App Stories, but like, there's widgets.
I still don't understand how it works.
No, so the top.
Because it doesn't.
Okay, so my screen, the top 20% are widgets, and the middle section. The top part is notifications. The middle part is widgets, and then it just stops. It's like not even long enough to fill my screen.
So you know the notifications on the Mac are infinite, right? Like have you ever managed to clear all notifications, like
No.
all of them?
No.
I think they just repeat over and
The
over.
stack of my Slack notifications says 99 more notifications. Like, I just don't ever go in here. It's a nightmare. Apple has made it worse than it used to be, and now it's sitting behind the clock, which makes no sense. Just burn it down, try again.
Yeah.
What else do I have here? I have we get some happy messaging from Apple about how much they value developers.
I mean, sure.
But there's a lot of angst, more than normal.
So at the very least, you will get this point.
1 point all day. Number 5, Apple unveils a new external display.
Oof.
No new Macs yet, but the display's ready. I let the universe speak
Too
to
late
me.
for this.
This is what the universe has said.
So I have a feeling about these Rickies. They will be much, much worse than usual.
I don't know. I feel pretty good about mine.
Yeah, you probably win. I think Steve and I are going to be a mess after this.
You could owe
Yeah.
a lot of money, Federico.
How much is it per wrong flexi? $25. That's $250.
For a good cause, you know.
Yeah. That I get
mean-
to pick. Or Mike gets to pick. Probably Mike.
It's fine. For a good cause, it's money well spent. I mean, I would spend it on DAX anyway, so.
That's right. Well, you're going to need a little bit more because it's going to be at least $3.99.
I thought they were cheap. That was the whole point of putting the standalone DAC thing in there, because you thought it was going to be $100.
We're never going to let this go, Steven, by the way.
Yeah, you will never be able to live this one down.
What if, I'm not going to do this, but what if in the edit I just put in a different Ricky?
No.
And we're just like, oh, you're so ridiculous. It's just like the most plain.
This is like, you know how before, is it before, and is it only in Italy or is it also elsewhere? Like before a trial, you have to put your hand on the Bible or something.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we have that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you swear to tell the whole truth.
To the Bill of Rickies.
Put your hand on the Rickies.
Actually, we don't have a rule that says pics cannot be modified in post. Not me neither. I don't want to think about it.
I don't want to make that rule.
Well, that does it. We have made our picks for WWDC 2021. We will be back next week on Wednesday to score these. Be sure to check out the websites that cover this. Rickies.co, Rickies.net, both great options. You can go see what we did. You can keep tabs as the event goes on. And we're all really excited. I'm excited that it's WWDC again. It's the most fun but busy week of the year covering Apple. If you want to find links to the stuff we spoke about, which is not a whole lot this week, but there's some weird stuff in there, you can head on over to the website at relay.fm/connected/348. There you can get in touch. There's an email link there in the sidebar. Send us feedback or follow up. Or you can find us out on the internet. You can find Federico on Twitter at Viticci, Viticci, and his Italian architecture blog is at macstories.net. You can follow Mike on Twitter as IMYKE. Mike hosts a bunch of shows here on Relay FM, and most Fridays he can be found at Mike.live streaming about beautiful keyboards.
Thursday this week, but
If you want to join Connected and get a longer ad-free version of the show each and every week, go to a very special URL. Mike, what is that URL?
getconnectedpro.co.
I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Pingdom, Squarespace, Clean My Mac X, and Storyworth. Until next week, when we find our value as humans based on our picks, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Well, that ended fast. I wasn't ready for that. Bye.
Cheerio.
Adios. He said cheerio. I was confused. It came really. The goodbye came out of nowhere. I wasn't ready for it.